I think it is time now, so I am going to go ahead and begin. One more time, just make sure. Okay. It says, my computer says you can all see this, and I see in my little window that you can see me. So I am an AT guy, not an IT guy. So if there are problems, somebody put your camera on and wave at me. Okay. We are going to move forward. I am Scout Mary, and I work for Missouri Assistive Technology, and you are now in Indestructables, making some tough AT. There we go. I'm really happy to be joining everybody in New Jersey, and if you are out of New Jersey, I'm happy to be joining with you too. And I do have some learning objectives, which are, I'm going to show you actually more than 5 projects that you can make yourself. And we'll look at 2 variations for each of those. And then I will show you a durability test of some sort or another for all these projects. I have hopefully put out that this is a beginner session. So I am also going to take a little time to talk about if you've never done this before. All right. My personal preference is to look you all in the face instead of your little icons. But part of that is because I do believe, tell me and I will forget, show me, I will remember, and involve me and I will understand. So it's really hard to kind of show and involve people through a screen, but we do what we must do these days. You know, the upshot is I have been able to go to Florida, California, and New Jersey, all via Zoom and from the comfort of my own office. We'll point out we have some Missouri wildflowers in the back for your enjoyment if I stand in a proper place. Okay. Where are we next? So if you are new to this whole maker movement thing, I just kind of want to do as maker's movement as I see it, which is just a person with a struggle, whatever that may be. It doesn't have to be something that, you know, 1,000 people share. It can just be the one person. And then there's collective thought. And again, whether that is, you know, the individual with a limitation and another person, or whether that's 50 people coming together to brainstorm, that is the next step. And then when we're lucky, we have a creative solution and it works. When we're unlucky, we have a creative solution that doesn't work. We go back to the thinking process. We often go back to the person with the struggle and kind of refine what they need, and we just move on. And, you know, really, as I see this, there is, to be a part of this, there's really only one thing that's really necessary. And that is you have to have the right glasses. You have to be able to look at the problem with a new perspective. So, you know, like having the right glasses really makes all the difference. So I will encourage you all to have the right glasses for this. But really, it's just about that perspective. How can you take that problem and kind of look at it from a different angle? All right. My disclaimer off the top is that these are not all my original designs. I don't think we need to all come up with original stuff. I think we need to share what's good, modify it. And so hopefully I will help you see there's also great benefit to modifying what's already out there. Okay. And I think, oh, and if you have questions, throw them in the chat. I would love to have a discussion at the end. Okay. And now we go to number 1. And number 1 is also called the bad one. It is really not number one, it's A, it's before number one. This is a tablet stand that you can make if you have lots and lots of free time, which is why it's the bad one, because it takes a long time to make this, but basically there's no cost. And you just choose a design and repeat it way too many times and glue it together. So I'm going to kind of skim through this one. There is a tip if you decide to do this, make your little cutouts big enough for your device to lean back. So if you have a low angle, you'll need a wider spot for your device to lean back. Otherwise, it will stand up straight. All right. I do have a durability. This one, I could stand on it, jump on it. It is very tough. The rubber band is not holding it together. It helps, but it's really just there to provide some friction. And so I put it in because of the this variation, which I like. Because what this did when I added this head on top was I use OtterBox with an iPad almost exclusively here. But it really held the iPad on there in place. So if, for instance, I was to accidentally knock this to the floor, that iPad wouldn't go flying. It actually held it in place. So I think that's kind of a cool thing. And I actually just held those on with the rubber band. You could use 2 or 3, and they are 5-inch rubber bands that I have found very useful. But I just traced over a cup and kind of extended this design. And like I say, I had to kind of wiggle my iPad in there. I cut it so that it was snug and it held very well. So that is the end of the bad one. So now we will move on. Hopefully everything else will be a little better. Okay, what happened? There we go. Okay. So we're going to go on to, yes, good glasses. This iPad stand, and actually this one is one of my favorites. So if you're looking for a stand for anything, whether you're in a classroom and at work, whatever, I love this one just because it's so simple. You can throw it together out of what you have on hand. I actually, over on the side, have one out of paperboard, like a cereal box. I don't recommend it, but in a pinch, you can make a stand out of it. But the one in the middle of the screen is just one long piece of cardboard, and I have all the materials, tools, and directions in the Google Doc, so you don't have to write anything down. But this one is just one long piece. And then I used 2 separate pieces on the sides where the binder clip is. You can use rulers down there. You can use a solid piece down there. Really, it's a really flexible design. You move the binder clips around, get the angle that you need. There's really only one measurement of this that it kind of makes a difference. And that is, so on this one, the width of my cardboard is 7 inches wide, and that strip in the front that's held in by the binder clips needs to be an inch less wide, so an inch shorter, so the binder clips have room to clip on. And I'm going to show you a close-up of how the binder clips are. Oops, nope, there's that, but that's in the Google Doc. So these binder clips, just grab onto that front piece, and you can cut a little V, or with the cardboard you can just kind of cut a line, and it holds that there nice and easy, and everything just clips together. It's super simple. You can make it in a minute. And here's my durability test for this one. So because we have a good stairwell, I threw it down the stairwell very many times. And so it's gonna easily stand up to coming off a table, because all I had to do was readjust the binder clips a couple of times, and I threw it lots of times just to check. All right. And oh yeah, we have a couple of variations for this one. A great variation for this one is the corrugated plastic board, the election sign board. This works really well. The reason I didn't make it the star is because not everybody has this laying around. It's also harder to cut, but you know, it's great. It's waterproof, it's durable, holds up over time. This is a great project for that corrugated plastic board. The other option is just cardboard that's glued together instead of using binder clips. If you don't have those, this one I made for a colleague, and I made it using thicker cardboard. So I did have to cut the top of the cardboard, which I would recommend if you're using that with somebody who might be a little bit less gentle than my coworker, to put tape on there, maybe some duct tape, just to keep that cardboard from deteriorating. And when you use the corrugated plastic, if you can see in the bottom picture, you do have to score the plastic board everywhere you want to bend it. So like cutting through half of that. There's great tools. I think it's called the Coral Claw, a little yellow tool that'll cut through that. It's a little bit tricky to cut through half with just a utility knife, but it can be done. But that yellow tool with the prongs is great for that. And like I said, I believe that's the Coral Claw. If you ever have a book of Therese Wilkins, she talks all about the tools. And I'm sorry I don't have mine to show you. Okay, there's our variations. So we are going to move right along to, all right, get down to some business now. All right, so this is the iPad stand out of PVC. So this design, I feel like, is really common. I always feel kind of surprised when if somebody's looking for an iPad stand, if they haven't seen this one. And I will also say that I have a video on YouTube for this stand, and I freely admit this is one of my most boring videos. And it is also the only video I've made that has gone viral. You know, it just is. So feel free to watch my other videos and spread them to 10,000 of your friends and make those go viral. This one is functional. Okay, so it's a great stand though, which is why I feel like it's everywhere. But if you haven't seen it, this is a great time to try it out. There's some cuts. It's all 1/2-inch PVC and what's called push fittings. And so when I'm cutting PVC, if you haven't done this, use Schedule 40 PVC. It's kind of thicker walled than some of the cheaper stuff. I literally just lay a ruler on my PVC and mark my lines. I found that a ruler seems to be easier than a tape measure for me. And also when you're using a tape, it's kind of made so that you have a space for the width of your blade, but you're not losing material with a PVC pipe cutter. So if you're using a saw, you are losing material. So that's how I recommend measuring and cutting. And then I highly recommend the ratcheting PVC pipe cutter. You have to pull it apart, and then you stick your pipe in, not your finger, and it will pretty easily just click down and cut right through your PVC. If it's hard to squeeze, then you can put it on the tabletop and just push down. But it's a great tool. It makes cutting PVC super simple. But if you haven't done this again, here's my pro tip. When you go to buy PVC, it generally comes in 10-foot lengths. 10 foot is often longer than will fit in most vehicles. So your first time, buy your pipe cutter when you buy your PVC, and then in future times, take this with you, or if you already have one, take it with you to the store if you have a car, and cut your PVC in half. If you're just making small projects, it doesn't matter if it's 5 foot or 10 foot in length, but cut it in half. It'll fit in your car. Everybody's happy. I have forgotten it and cut it at the plumbing desk at the hardware store. They usually have a pipe cutter, so, but it makes it much easier. And it's very adjustable. So your T's are what bends, and you can, oh, put something sticky, and you can have your iPad kind of at any angle. Very convenient. Okay, let's move right along. All right, here's my durability test. I am no ball player, but I have a big parking lot, and I did my very best to fling it as far as I could. So that first picture shows me flinging it across my very empty parking lot. And the second picture shows that it is has come apart. And I will freely admit that that is probably most likely because my cuts are not exactly the same, that I was probably up to a 1/4 inch off on those two pipes, the 3-inch pipes. And that's why it's sprung apart. I mean, it could have something to do with being flung across the parking lot, but that happened more than once, and I think that was my fault. I did get it to come apart, but only had the elbow push fitting come off, and you can see that there is a little chunk taken out of that elbow push fitting. So super PVC is super durable. So we're gonna move along. Oh, so you're not supposed to have favorites, but this is one of my favorite variations. I think maybe because I named it. You're probably not supposed to name your AT when you want to give it away. Kind of like naming your thing, your animals you're going to eat or something. But I did name this the iPad Hugger. It does just what it says. So it is a variation of that PVC stand that just holds on to a tablet. So you can see in the back, there's a cross fitting. So I've taken off the top T push fitting, put on the cross fitting, and depending on what size device you have, the pipe size would vary. I have 3 inches on each side, I believe, and then just shorties with in between the elbow push fittings to make it come around and hold on to your device. And then in the back, mine went up about 5.5 inches. I think that's right. And then around again to hold that device in, basically on all sides. So kind of fun. There is some back and forth room because of course you can only get the pipes so close, the push fittings so close. So there is some back and forth room, and it doesn't tip as much once it is confined at the top, but you still have a little bit of angle, and you could change that if you change the size of the pipe. So just kind of a nice option. It will hold in the iPad again if it falls off the tray or the table. Now, one thing that I haven't just talked about is that PVC is, of course, very slick. It's hard plastic, and or whatever PVC stands for, but it is hard and slick. And so if you're wanting it, if somebody might push it off, you would probably want to put a non-skid surface underneath, like Dyson. I actually put it on a wheelchair tray with a gate belt too. That seemed to hold it. I did have to maybe lift it up a little because there was a little bit of a lip on the tray. All right. So the other variation is I think it was a number three or number 4 rubber stopper. Fits right in that push fitting, and just like this, I took the middle out of a fidget spinner and put in a screw that basically is the same length as my stopper, but not as long when it went through the fidget spinner. And so it just can go in there if somebody needs a fidget really close to their device. You could also put different fidgets in other openings of the PVC. So that's just kind of fun too, but also helpful for kids who need it. All right, or adults. All right, we are moving right along. This is our smallest device. Put on my smallest glasses. We'll move forward. This is a switch stand. So the switch stand is great if somebody just needs a different angle, they need to see it a little better, or whatever the case may be. Super easy to make. There's a more interesting video about the switch stand than the tablet stand. This is just made from 6 short pieces of PVC, 1 5/8, and 6 elbow push fittings. I easily say make 2 U's and connect them with elbows, and that's it. It does call for zip ties to lock the switch in place. And of course, different switches might need slightly different sizes of things, but it can be easily adjusted. And let's see. Oh, now we're on to our durability test. So this is where, because I don't think that's a link. Whoops.
He's trying to destroy something.
Okay. All right, let's go back. So I hope that shared, but I'm actually not sure that it did. Did you? Oh, uh-oh. There's the chat that didn't share, right? Okay, well, I don't know if you guys could see that. I will share anything you want. All right, somebody tell me. Oh, okay. I'm going to try this again then. I am going to see if I can. New share. Here we go. Sorry, my glasses are not helping. PowerPoint. Here we go. Nope. Stick with me just a second. Where's my YouTube? Share. Replay.
He's trying to destroy something.
All right. Okay. Okay, so let me see if I can get back out of here.
Hanging with your nerds.
Okay, oops, shoot.
This one's a little boring. Morning ones were better.
Yeah.
So I'm doing other
Alright.
things.
Mute your screen then if you don't like it. I mean, mute yourself. Okay, all right.
Can you type in there, this is boring?
I could, but that would
Wait,
be
was
rude.
you?
Yeah, it has my name.
Yes,
That would be rude.
there we go. I'll mute you then. All right. We'll go on to the variations for the switch stand. So I think the second variation could be useful because you can put in 2 switches if you just make the switch stand longer. It does require a few different materials. So over on the side, you can see it requires 2 push fittings that are called elbows with side out and 3 longer pieces. I used 5.5 inches and that fit 2 jelly bean style switches. That worked really well. It's a good option. Again, you'd want to put that on something that doesn't slip. The other option is, and it's kind of a left field one, is I instead of using PVC, I used hose, just like a garden hose. I did have to make it a little bit wider I'd use different kinds of tape, and you do have to make the pieces a little bit longer. It might not do much, but actually it does make it a little more flexible. And that's the one thing. I made a double, and so it does make it a little more flexible if you want to, if you have somebody who hits their switches really hard and you want to have a little give. So that's just a bit of a strange variation there. But one thing I did that I liked was I put magnets on the back of the switches and I put magnets on the switch stand. And then if you need to move the switch from one location to another, you can just have magnets someplace, and it's really, then it becomes super easy to move. All right, let's go on to, all right, let's check out this one, which is the scanning jig. This one is really, it's easy, it's helpful, it's portable. So you can take your phone and just set it in what is basically a binder clip and put it on this. And then I use Seeing AI, which is an iOS app, to get OCR or text to speech. So super great. There's one tricky part to this one. After you cut all the pipe, is bending the binder clip. So these are jumbo size binder clips, and I have a vise. So I'm able to bend these on a vise, which really is, I think, the easiest way to do it. So that's what I would recommend. That's the only difficult part. But if you buy a box of jumbo binder clips and you have somebody or you have a vise, you can do them all at once. And I've been giving these out to folks that I work with who are low vision and blind, because they only cost a couple bucks to make, and it's great. Then they can read their own mail or read recipes, read whatever they want. All right, and oh, I think I have my durability test. So my dog helped me with this durability test. This is Ruger, and he is giving it his best shot, and nothing happened to the scanning jig during this. There were also no animals injured during this durability test. Okay. I only have one variation for this. So because I guess my glasses weren't good enough. I just couldn't think of any other way to make this different, except to make it less portable, which is, to put 3 supports which is really helpful if you're just using it in one location, like in a classroom, at home, to read mail, something like that. Or if you want a couple of them in different locations. But it helps because then the post coming out can actually bend, if it's not held together tight. So that will stop that. And basically at the top, you just do the exact same thing you did at the back, at the bottom. And that makes it all work and have 3 of the same vertical supports and 3 of the same supports on the side. Easy peasy, holds it together. You do need a rubber band around the clips of the binder clip, and that's what gives it tension. That's all it takes. So again, that's all in the notes if you like that. All right, we are down to number 5. I also have a video for this one, if anybody's interested. So I had mentioned earlier that we have iPads with OtterBoxes, and that's what we have over and over and over again. And I really wanted something with a handle. We didn't have it, so I decided to take care of that myself. And I like pipe insulation because it's very inexpensive. And I got this box of rubber bands, and so I just put them all together. It's pretty simple. I cut the pipe insulation a little bit longer than I let it hang over a little bit so that if it's dropped, it has a little bit of extra padding at the bottom. Put a little tape on the top. Of course, that's optional. And there's a slit already in pipe insulation. So I just put the iPad in, put the rubber bands around, practically done. The pipe insulation does creep onto the screen a little bit. So I cut what in effect is like a triangle up the side, and that kept it from creeping onto the screen. All right, the variations on this, I think are a good way to look at, do this. Also, I still used a rubber band at the top, but I started with using Instamorph. So Instamorph is just a brand name of moldable thermoplastic. It's just white beads. And if you've never used it, it's you just buy it online and stick it in hot water and it becomes moldable. It's pretty useful. You can do a lot of things with it. So I can't remember. I think I just used plastic wrap or something so it wouldn't stick to the pipe insulation. And put it on there, let it dry on there because it dries just a little bit. It shrinks just a tiny bit when it's left for 24 hours. So it went on there nice and snug, but it's still easy enough to get off. But I can shake it, and the iPad wasn't coming out, wasn't moving at all. So if you have a 3D printer, which I do not have, a 3D printed clip would be really great for this. Okay, and yeah, so the 3D printed clip is like I said, a great option. I just didn't have it. I had somebody making it for me, which is also nice. Okay, and all right. And here's my durability test because, I really do want to go all out and I do love biking. So, I just took it up to 20,000 feet and let her rip. Honestly, I didn't, but I could because, of course, nothing is going to happen to pipe insulation. Okay. That's what I've got. So at this point, I am going to, whoops, what happened? I am going to look in the chat and see if there are any questions. Yes, take your cutter to the store. Okay, so really at this point, you can put any questions you have in the chat. Or if I think I've got a few more minutes, I will show some more things. Totally up to you. I have step-by-step instructions it's in the Google Docs for the conference. And if you have any questions, my email is here. It's also, you can find me at our website, at.mo.gov, which is pretty, there we go, which is pretty easy. Thank you, Megan. So I do demonstration and reuse, and so you can find my information there. You can find our YouTube channel if you just search Missouri Assistive Technology. And so if there's no other questions. I wanted to show, if I can do this. If anybody's working with kids with CVI, there's a frame, right? Simple PVC frame. And I added, there's beads that go on there. So this is kind of cool. You can make this simple frame. But there's another thing. Oh, thank you again, Megan. There's another thing that I'm going to show you if you're working with kids with CVI or cortical visual impairment. Where is it? This one. Okay, so this should be showing. There's these great tactile books that you can make. And there was somebody who made a big wooden frame for it because it's out of pegboard. But the wooden frame just seemed like a lot of work to me. So I attached the pegboard to a baby gate. I had a baby gate, and that was so much easier. So I don't know. And not everybody maybe has a doorway they can put it in. Excuse me. But it just seems so much easier. And what a great way to teach little kids or to work with somebody with CVI. Since I still have a minute or two, I'm going to show you, wait, I hope you can see this. Right. Okay. I'm going to show you one more. And this is a balloon wind tunnel. So again, if you're working with kids with limited communication, this is kind of the middle of the video.
You're also going to need a fan.
But
and a
it
few
will go
balloons.
over and show the balloon wind tunnel, which is PVC, shower curtain, fan, and balloons. And the more balloons you put in there, actually, and we hooked it up to a power link.
We
So
just used a jelly bean
that
switch
was kind of fun and easy and
hooked into
great
our power link
for
with the fan hooked into the
for
power
kids. You
link
can
as well.
use it for cause and
We have
effect.
it set on latch so that when I push
And,
the switch,
if you've ever used a
balloon
power link,
blower
it's
goes off.
pretty cool. Okay,
and when I hit
So,
it again, it comes
we're
on.
going to, but it's kind of fun.
How fun is that?
But I'm gonna go
I'll put the directions down
back
below.
to
Feel free to like this video if you're going to
my
make it.
contact
I'd
information.
also like to hear how it goes for you.
So if anybody has any questions about any of these, or where you can get, great glasses, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to talk about any of these or other things. We also have a makers roundtable with much smarter people